as the roar of a P-51 Mustang's engine faltered under a hail of German flak, Lieutenant James Jim Carter gripped the stick, his heart pounding, as a coded message from a downed pilot crackled through his headset, its desperate plea pulling him into a mission that could rewrite his war. It was June 1944, over the sun-scorched hills of Tuscany, Italy, where the Tuskegee Airmen of the 302nd Fighter Group soared through skies thick with danger, escorting Allied bombers in the Italian campaign. Jim, a 24-year-old African-American pilot from Chicago, had joined the Red Tails to honor his brother, killed in a training accident dismissed as pilot error by a prejudiced command. Now, high above the enemy lines, the message, coordinates for a hidden Luftwaffe base, offered a chance for redemption, but also a plunge into peril that tested his courage and the trust of his segregated squadron. The Tuscan skies were a battlefield of clouds and fire, where Messerschmitts darted like predators and flak bursts bloomed like deadly flowers. Jim, lean and sharp-eyed, sat in the cockpit of his P-51 Freedom's Wing, its red tail a defiant badge of the Tuskegee Airmen. His flight suit was patched, his helmet scuffed, and a photo of his brother, tucked in his pocket, was a constant reminder of the stakes. The 302nd, based at Ramitelli Airfield, faced not only the Luftwaffe, but the sting of racism, distrust from white commanders who doubted their skill. Jim's skill as a pilot, honed through relentless training, was undeniable, yet whispers of unfit lingered. The message, from a downed B-17 navigator, Captain Robert Bobby Ellis, was faint but urgent. Base, Monte Serra, save them. Monte Serra was a rugged ridge, unmapped by Allies, hinting at a secret that could turn the tide. The first strong event struck as Jim's squadron escorted a bombing run. A sudden swarm of Messerschmitt Bf-109s dove from the clouds, their guns blazing, forcing Jim to bank hard, his wingman trailing. The dogfight was chaos. Tracers streaked, engines screamed, and a red-tail plane spiraled, its pilot ejecting into the Tuscan hills. Jim's radio crackled with Bobby's voice again, weaker now. Monte Serra, betrayed. The word betrayed chilled him. Was it a warning of enemy deception or something closer? His squadron leader, Major Clarence Buck Johnson, a stoic Atlantan, ordered focus. Stay tight, Carter. But Jim's mind raced. Bobby's coordinates could save the next bombing run, but pursuing them meant defying orders to stay with the formation. Back at Ramitelli, the squadron's tension mirrored the skies. Buck, a veteran with scars from prejudice and battle, trusted Jim, but enforced discipline. No heroics, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Marcus Hawk Turner, a brash Harlemite, backed Jim's instinct. If it's real, we gotta act. But Captain Edward Eddie Brooks, a reserve pilot from Detroit, scoffed, "Chasing ghosts gets us grounded." The base buzzed with rumors, white officers questioning the Red Tails' competence, threatening to disband them. Jim's moral dilemma loomed: obey orders and protect his squadron's reputation, or risk a solo mission to Monte Serra, endangering his career and his men. His brother's photo, warm against his chest, urged action, but fear of failure gnawed, a shadow of past losses. A dramatic event heightened the stakes. During a debrief, Jim slipped away to the radio shack, tuning in to Bobby's frequency. The signal was faint, distorted by static, but clear enough. Monte Serra, Luftwaffe, traitor. The word traitor struck like lightning. Someone in the Allied chain was leaking plans. Jim confided in Hawk, whose bravado hid his own doubts. If there's a rat, we're all targets. The Radio Shack's operator, Private Lena Washington, a sharp-eyed African-American WWII from Alabama, overheard and offered to trace the signal. Her presence, rare in the male-dominated base, stirred unease among white staff, but her skill was undeniable. Jim's decision to trust her risked exposure as white officers monitored their every move. The psychological tension tightened. His brother's death, blamed on error, haunted him, a reminder of systemic betrayal. The base's dynamics introduced key players, sowing seeds of conflict. Buck, burdened by command, balanced loyalty to his men with pressure from above. Hawk, eager for glory, pushed Jim to act, while Eddie's caution reflected fear of repercussions. Lena, with her quiet resilience, offered hope but faced scrutiny, her role a defiance of norms. The squadron's unity frayed, each pilot wrestling with pride and prejudice in a war that judged them twice. Jim's choice crystallized: pursue Bobby's lead, risking court-martial, or stay silent, letting the Luftwaffe base strike again. His hands trembled, the photo of his brother a weight against his heart, its faded smile urging courage. A strong event unfolded, building suspense. As Jim prepared to pitch a recon mission to Buck, a night patrol reported a downed B-17 near Monte Serra, matching Bobby's coordinates. The news electrified Jim, but also danger. German patrols roamed the hills, and Allied command dismissed the area as clear. Lena's trace confirmed the signal's origin, but a white officer, Major Harold Vance, intercepted Jim's request. No unauthorized flights. Carter, your kind don't get second chances. The racism stung, amplifying Jim's isolation. Hawk's whisper, we go anyway, tempted defiance, but Eddie's warning, you'll bury us, held him back. The psychological napuga mounted, Jim's mind replaying his brother's crash, a warning of recklessness. The cliffhanger loomed as Jim, against orders, slipped to the airfield at dusk, freedom's wing gleaming under stars. Lena handed him a final intercept. Monte Serra, tonight, ambush. Was it Bobby or a German lure? As Jim climbed into the cockpit, a shadow moved near the hangar, a figure tampering with his plane's controls. Friend or foe? Buck's voice crackled over the radio. Carter, stand down. But the signal's plea echoed, a cry Jim couldn't ignore. The skies above Tuscany beckoned, the Luftwaffe base a secret that could redeem or destroy. With German flak lighting the horizon and a traitor's hand at work, Jim faced the abyss of his choice, the silent cry of the sky pulling him toward a truth or a trap that could define the Red Tail's legacy. As the engines of Freedom's wing roared through a storm of flak, Lieutenant James Jim Carter's heart sank when a coded signal from the radio shack revealed a traitor's hand among the Allies, its cryptic warning, Monte Serra, compromised, deepening the peril of his mission and threatening to shatter his squadron's fragile trust. The Tuscan skies, June 1944, were a crucible of fire and cloud during the Italian campaign, where the Tuskegee Airmen of the 322nd Fighter Group escorted bombers against a relentless Luftwaffe. Jim's pursuit of a downed navigator's plea, coordinates for a hidden Luftwaffe base on Monte Serra, had sparked a moral firestorm, pitting his honor against orders and prejudice. The roar of his P-51 Mustang and the squadron's wary glances mirrored the psychological tension gripping him, as the choice to defy command risked not only his life but the Red Tail's legacy. The conflict deepened, sowing seeds of distrust at Ramitelli Airfield. Major Clarence Buck Johnson, the squadron leader, enforced rigid discipline, his Atlantan resolve tempered by years of battling racism. Stay in line, Carter, he warned, his voice heavy with the burden of command. Lieutenant Marcus Hawk Turner, a fiery Harlemite with a quick grin, urged action. We can't let that base hit our boys. Captain Edward Eddie Brooks, reserved and cautious from Detroit, pushed back. You'll get us grounded, Jim. Private Lena Washington, the sharp-eyed WWII radio operator, added a new layer. Her trace of the traitor's signal confirmed its Allied origin, stirring unease. Her presence, a rarity among the base's white staff, drew scrutiny, amplifying tensions. Jim's moral dilemma crystallized: pursue the Monte Serra mission, risking court-martial and his squadron's reputation, or obey orders, abandoning the downed navigator and the chance to prove the Red Tail's worth. Secondary characters enriched the dynamics, deepening the rift. Lena, with her Alabama grit, offered technical skill but faced hostility from Major Harold Vance, a white officer overseeing operations. Keep your nose out, Washington, he snapped, his prejudice a constant threat. Hawk's bravado masked his fear of being sidelined, while Eddie's caution stemmed from a court-martial scare in training. Buck, torn between loyalty to his men and pressure from command, balanced trust in Jim with the risk of mutiny. The squadron's unity frayed, each pilot wrestling with pride and prejudice in a war that judged them twice. Jim's inexperience clashed with his resolve. His brother's death, a training crash blamed on error, fueling his drive but haunting his choices. What if I fail them? He whispered, the photo in his pocket a weight against his heart. The psychological napuga intensified. Jim's mind a storm of doubt and duty. Flashbacks to his brother's crash, flames in the sky, clashed with his mother's letter, tucked beside the photo. Come home, James. The Luftwaffe base, if real, could save thousands, but the traitor's signal suggested a trap. Lena's support offered solace. You're doing right, Lieutenant, but Vance's threats, one misstep and you're done, deepened his isolation. His goggles fogged with sweat, hallucinations creeping in, his brother's voice accusing, you'll crash too. The traitor's warning, compromised, echoed, amplifying fears that betrayal lurked within their ranks, perhaps even among the red tails. A strong event erupted, thrusting the squadron into their first Zitkani with the enemy. During a dawn patrol over Tuscany, a trio of Messerschmitt Bf 109s ambushed their formation, guns blazing through the clouds. Jim banked hard, his P-51 shuddering under fire, Hawk trailing as wingman. The dogfight was chaos. Tracers streaked, engines screamed, and flak burst below. Jim's skill held, downing a Messerschmitt, but Eddie's plane took a hit, forcing an emergency landing. The skirmish was heart-stopping, the squadron scattering, but Jim's radio caught a faint signal from Bobby, the downed navigator. Montserrat, hurry! The encounter exposed their vulnerability. Were the Germans tipped off? Buck's voice crackled, regroup now. But the close call fractured the squadron. Eddie's glare accusing Jim, your mission's drawing them. The internal conflict flared, threatening to rascalati the group. Back at Ramatelli, Eddie confronted Jim in the hangar, his Detroit reserve breaking. You're chasing ghosts, Carter. We're targets now. Hawk defended Jim, his Harlem fire blazing. We prove ourselves by acting, not hiding. Lena, tracing the traitor's signal, revealed it came from a nearby Allied base, shocking the group. Was it Vance or someone closer? Buck, torn, demanded focus. No rogue missions, Carter. The standoff was a crucible, Jim's leadership tested as he balanced the navigator's plea against his men's safety. His mind churned. The traitor's signal, a specter. Had he endangered his squadron by trusting Bobby's coordinates? Dramatic pewority built a sense of impending catastrophe. Lena uncovered a hidden log in the radio shack, listing Montserrat's coordinates in a white officer's handwriting. Vance's? The discovery rocked Jim, suggesting command's complicity. A new signal from Bobby, caught during the dogfight, was garbled but urgent. Base active tonight. The timing hinted at an imminent Luftwaffe strike, but also a trap. Hawk's push. We fly tonight. Clashed with Eddie's caution. You'll kill us. Buck's silence, heavy with doubt, left Jim isolated. The airfield buzzed with tension, white officers tightening scrutiny, threatening to ground the red tails. Jim's resolve wavered, hallucinations intensifying, his brother's crash replaying, a warning of failure, a new challenge struck, heightening suspense. A night recon flight was ordered, but Vance assigned Jim's squadron a decoy route far from Montserrat. Lena's trace pinpointed Bobby's signal stronger now, but Vance's log suggested he'd sabotaged it. Jim faced a pivotal choice, defy orders and fly to Montserrat, risking court-martial, or follow the decoy, abandoning the navigator. His mind fractured, his brother's voice screaming, "Don't fail!" Hawk's whisper, "We're with you," tempted action, but Eddie's warning, "You'll doom us," held him back. The cliffhanger loomed as Jim, at dusk, fueled Freedom's wing, spotting a tampered fuel line. Sabotage. A shadow moved in the hangar, a figure with Vance's build, vanishing into the dark. Was it the traitor or a red tail? The skies called, Bobby's signal a faint cry, pulling Jim toward a crisis where honor and betrayal would collide in the clouds. As a Messerschmitt's shadow sliced through the Tuscan clouds, its guns blazing in pursuit of Freedom's wing, Lieutenant James Jim Carter's discovery of a sabotaged fuel line in his P-51 confirmed a traitor's hand at Ramitelli Airfield, thrusting his mission into a vortex of escalating danger. The skies over Italy, June 1944, were a battlefield of fire and storm during the Italian campaign, where the Tuskegee Airmen of the 342nd Fighter Group fought to prove their worth against both the Luftwaffe and Allied prejudice. Jim's defiance, pursuing a downed navigator's plea to locate a hidden Luftwaffe base on Monte Serra, had sparked a rift, and the consequences now loomed. Major Vance's scrutiny tightened, and the squadron's trust frayed. The roar of his Mustang and the storm's gathering clouds amplified the psychological tension as new challenges and a relentless pursuit pushed Jim toward a crisis that could ground the Red Tails forever. The squadron, Major Clarence Buck Johnson, Lieutenant Marcus Hawk Turner, Captain Edward Eddie Brooks, and Private Lena Washington, teetered on collapse, their unity strained by Jim's actions. Buck, the stoic Atlantan, maintained iron discipline, his voice sharp. "You're pushing it, Carter." Hawk, the brash Harlemite, backed Jim's resolve. "We hit that base, we shut the doubters up." Eddie, cautious from Detroit, grew hostile. "You're risking our wings." Lena, the WAC radio operator, faced suspicion from white officers, her trace of the traitor's signal, Monte Serra, ambush, deepening the divide. The first consequences of Jim's defiance stung. Vance grounded him from routine patrols, a reprimand that isolated him further. His brother's photo, warm in his flight suit, anchored him, but guilt surged. Had his mission endangered his men? "Am I enough?" he whispered, the clouds mirroring his doubt. New challenges emerged, testing their endurance. The sabotaged fuel line, cut with precision, suggested a traitor within Ramitelli, possibly tied to Vance's log. Jim's covert inspection revealed tampered gauges in Hawk's plane too, a trap that could have downed them. Lena's radio trace pinpointed the traitor's signal to a nearby Allied outpost, but Vance's oversight blocked access, forcing Jim to rely on her covert skills. The Tuscan terrain below, rugged hills and enemy lines, added peril. Monte Serra was a fortress, its Luftwaffe base hidden in caves. Jim's choice to pursue the navigator's coordinates had cost patrol time, delaying bomber escorts and drawing Vance's ire. The psychological napuga intensified, his brother's crash, blamed on error, haunting him, a warning of failure. A strong moment of tension erupted with a sudden pursuit. During a recon flight, approved grudgingly by Buck, Jim and Hawk patrolled near Monte Serra when two Messerschmitt Bf-109s dove from the clouds, their guns blazing. The dogfight was heart-stopping. Jim banked hard, his P-51 shuddering, Hawk's maneuvers tight but strained. Tracers streaked, clouds swirling, as Jim evaded a burst, but Hawk's plane took a graze, fuel leaking. The pursuit tightened, the Germans relentless, their precision hinting at foreknowledge. Jim's radio crackled with Lena's warning. "Signal intercepted." The chase forced a dive toward Monte Serra's ridge, the Luftwaffe base looming below, its caves glinting with aircraft. Jim faced a critical decision under pressure: break off to save Hawk, risking the mission, or push toward the base, exposing them to ambush. "Stay with me," Hawk shouted, urging action. Jim chose pursuit, diving lower, the enemy on their tail. An unexpected ally twisted the narrative, deepening the stakes. Mid-dogfight, a faint radio signal broke through. Captain Robert "Bobby" Ellis, the downed navigator, alive in Monte Serra's hills. "I see you." "Caves, help," he whispered, his voice weak but real. The signal was a lifeline, confirming the base's location, but its clarity suggested German interception. A new voice joined, Sergeant William "Will" Carter, a white B-17 gunner from Bobby's crew, stranded nearby. His offer to guide via radio was a boon, but Eddie's suspicion flared. How's he alive? The alliance was a double-edged sword. Will's coordinates could lead to the base, but his survival raised doubts. Jim, torn between trust and caution, accepted the lead, but the squadron's fractures deepened. Eddie's glare burned. "You're trusting strangers over us." The psychological napuga peaked, Jim's mind a storm of fear and duty. Flashbacks to his brother's crash, flames in the sky, clashed with his mother's letter. "Come home, James." The Luftwaffe base, if real, could save thousands, but the traitor's signal suggested a trap. Lena's support offered solace. "You're close, Lieutenant." But Vance's threats, "You're done, Carter," deepened his isolation. Hallucinations crept in, his brother's voice accusing, "You'll fail them." The sabotaged fuel line loomed, a specter of betrayal. Vance or a red tail? The clouds pressed closer, the storm's veil hiding friend and foe, amplifying Jim's doubt. Dramatic priority built a sense of impending catastrophe. Lena uncovered a hidden radio in the hangar, its frequency matching the traitor's signal, stashed near Vance's office. The discovery rocked Jim. Was Vance leaking to the Germans? A new signal from Bobby, caught mid-flight, was urgent. Base active tonight. The timing suggested an imminent Luftwaffe strike, but also a lure. Hawk's fuel leak worsened, forcing a choice, land or crash. Jim's insistence on Monte Serras sparked Eddie's rebellion. "I'm out, Carter." Buck's silence, heavy with doubt, left Jim isolated. The airfield faced lockdown, Vance's orders tightening. Jim's resolve wavered, his brother's crash replaying. A warning of doom. A new challenge struck, heightening suspense. A night mission was ordered, but Vance assigned a decoy route far from Monte Serra. Lena's trace confirmed Bobby's signal, but a tampered radio in Jim's plane hinted at sabotage. Jim faced a pivotal choice: defy orders and fly solo to Monte Serra, risking court-martial, or follow the decoy, abandoning Bobby. His mind fractured, his brother's voice screaming, "Don't fail." Hawk's plea, "We go together," clashed with Eddie's warning, "You'll bury us." The cliffhanger loomed as Jim, at midnight, fueled Freedom's wing, spotting a shadow tampering with another plane. Vance or a red tail? Bobby's signal pulsed, a cry in the storm, pulling Jim toward a crisis where courage and betrayal would collide in the skies. As a Messerschmitt's gunfire tore through the clouds, grazing Freedom's wing's fuselage, Lieutenant James Jim Carter's heart froze when a coded signal from Ramitelli Airfield confirmed Major Harold Vance as the traitor, his betrayal exposing the Tuskegee Airmen's mission to a Luftwaffe ambush over Monte Serra. The Tuscan skies, June 1944, were a cauldron of fire and storm during the Italian campaign, where the 332nd Fighter Group fought to prove their valor against both enemy planes and Allied prejudice. Jim's defiance, pursuing a downed navigator's plea to locate a hidden Luftwaffe base, had led him and his wingman, Lieutenant Marcus Hawk Turner, into this trap, the consequences of his choices now a deadly reality. The roar of his P-51 Mustang and the storm's relentless thunder amplified the psychological tension as a desperate mission and a traitor's hand pushed Jim toward a crisis that could shatter the Red Tail's legacy. The Iron event erupted with brutal clarity. A mission turned ambush, the traitor's signal drawing a swarm of Messerschmitt Bf-109s to Monte Serra's ridge. Private Lena Washington's radio trace, smuggled to Jim before takeoff, revealed Vance's coded messages to the Germans, pinpointing the squadron's recon flight. Major Clarence "Buck" Johnson, the squadron leader, was grounded by Vance's orders, leaving Jim and Hawk to face the onslaught. Captain Edward "Eddie" Brooks, already wary, had refused to join. "You're on your own, Carter." Hawk, his Harlem bravado strained, stayed tight. "We got this, Jim." The signal from Captain Robert "Bobby" Ellis, the downed navigator, crackled again. "Caves now. Help." The Luftwaffe base loomed below, its aircraft glinting in hidden caves, but the ambush confirmed Vance's betrayal, threatening to doom the mission and the Red Tail's reputation. Jim's hard choice crystallized, the psychological tension of vice around his heart. Break off the recon to save Hawk, whose fuel leak worsened, or dive toward the caves to confirm Bobby's coordinates, risking annihilation. His brother's photo, warm in his flight suit, clashed with memories of the crash. Flames blamed on error. "You'll fail them," his brother's voice haunted, a hallucination fogging his goggles. Hawk's shout, "We hit the base," urged action, but Eddie's warning, "You'll bury us," echoed. The Messerschmitts circled, their guns relentless, forcing Jim to act. We dive, he decided, voice steady despite trembling hands, choosing the mission over retreat, a gamble that could cost their lives but expose the Luftwaffe's secret. Intense events cascaded, driving the crisis to emotional peaks. A dramatic Zitkani unfolded as Jim and Hawk dove toward Monte Serra, the Messerschmitts in pursuit. Tracers streaked, clouds swirling as Jim's P-51 shuddered under fire, his skill dodging bursts. Hawk's plane, leaking fuel, faltered, but he stayed on Jim's wing, his loyalty a beacon. The caves loomed, aircraft visible, confirming Bobby's signal, but a German flak gun opened fire from the ridge, its bursts shaking the sky. Jim's heart pounded, the traitor's signal, a death sentence. "Stay tight," he radioed, banking hard to shield Hawk. The confrontation was electric, each maneuver a dance with death, the Luftwaffe base a prize within reach, but the ambush closing in. A dramatic Porionok changed the tide. Mid-dive, a new signal broke through. Sergeant William Will Carter, the B-17 gunner, alive in the hills, guiding them. "Caves, north side, I'm here." His voice was a lifeline, pinpointing Bobby's position, but the Messerschmitts tightened their pursuit, one locking on to Hawk. Jim acted instinctively, rolling Freedom's wing to draw fire, his plane shuddering as bullets grazed the tail. The heroic act saved Hawk, but cost altitude, exposing them to flak. Hawk's voice crackled, strained but grateful. "You're crazy, Carter." The emotional peak crested, Jim's vision blurred, his brother's face in the clouds, accusing, "Don't crash." Bobby's plea, "Hurry," anchored him. The caves now visible, a target that could redeem the red tails. The Napuga soared as the Germans regrouped, a second wave of Bf-109s diving from the clouds, their precision hinting at Vance's intel. Jim faced a critical choice under pressure: land to save Hawk's failing plane, risking capture or push to the caves, confirming the base for Allied bombers. Lena's last trace, relayed via Will, warned of German reinforcements, amplifying the stakes. Jim's mind fractured, hallucinations peaking, his brother's crash replaying, flames consuming hope. "We finished this," he declared, diving lower, the caves glinting with Luftwaffe planes. Hawk, fuel critical, stayed with him, their bond unyielding. The flak intensified, shaking Freedom's wing, but Jim spotted Bobby and Will's signal, a flare in the hills, real and alive. Intense events propelled the suspense, keeping viewers on edge. The dive was a nightmare. Flak bursts rocked the plane, and a Messerschmitt locked on, its guns blazing. Jim's skill held, but Hawk's engine sputtered, forcing a desperate glide toward the hills. A twist deepened the crisis. Vance's voice crackled over the radio, ordering them back. "Abort, Carter, that's an order." Had he intercepted their signal, or was he covering his tracks? Jim ignored him, spotting Bobby and Will waving from a cave mouth, their figures frail but defiant. The emotional pinnacle came as Jim radioed Ramatelli. Base confirmed. Monte Serra. The transmission risked interception, but it was a beacon for Allied bombers. Hawk's plane landed roughly, safe but grounded, leaving Jim alone in the sky. The crisis point resolved in a desperate fight, the Messerschmitts closing in as Jim climbed, drawing fire to protect Hawk and the downed men. A final twist heightened the stakes. Lena's signal, smuggled through a hidden radio, revealed Vance's attempt to jam their frequency, confirming his betrayal. "You're clear, Jim," she radioed, her voice a spark of hope. The flak gun roared, a burst grazing Freedom's wing, but Jim evaded, his heart pounding, Bobby's flare a guiding light. The Napuga reached its zenith, the traitor's wing a shadow over the mission, as Jim faced a final choice: escape to report the base or stay and shield his men, risking capture. Consequences loomed, Vance's wrath, the squadron's fate, but Jim's resolve held, the Luftwaffe base a prize that could prove the Red Tails' valor, pulling them toward a climax where courage and betrayal would collide in the storm-torn skies. As dawn's golden rays broke through the Tuscan clouds, casting fleeting light on the battered wings of freedom's wing, Lieutenant James Jim Carter banked his P-51 Mustang toward Ramitelli Airfield, his heart heavy with the triumph of exposing the Luftwaffe base and the traitor, Major Harold Vance, but scarred by the cost of his mission. The skies over Italy, June 1944, had been a crucible of fire during the Italian campaign, where the Tuskegee Airmen of the 332nd Fighter Group fought to prove their valor. Jim's defiance, pursuing Captain Robert Bobby, Ellis's plea to locate a hidden Luftwaffe base on Monte Serra had saved Allied bombers but came at a price. Lieutenant Marcus Hawk Turner's grounded plane, the loss of trust among his squadron, and the emotional toll of betrayal. The hum of his engine and the fading storm mirrored the weight of consequences as Jim faced a reckoning that would shape his legacy and the Red Tail's future. The immediate consequences unfolded in the chaotic return to Ramitelli. Major Clarence Buck Johnson met Jim on the tarmac, his Atlantan resolve softened by relief but tempered by anger. "You got the base, Carter, but you broke every rule." Vance's betrayal, exposed by Private Lena Washington's smuggled radio trace, led to his arrest, his coded signals to the Germans confirmed by Allied intelligence. Captain Edward Eddie Brooks, his Detroit caution vindicated, remained distant. "You nearly sank us." Hawk, his plane damaged but safe, clapped Jim's shoulder. "You're a madman, but you did it." Bobby and Sergeant William Will Carter, rescued from Monte Serra's caves, were airlifted to safety, their gratitude piercing Jim's heart. The Luftwaffe base was bombed hours later, a victory credited to the Red Tails, but the cost, Vance's sabotage, Hawk's near loss, and squadron tension loomed large. Lena's quiet nod, her Alabama grit unyielding, was a lifeline. "You proved them wrong, Lieutenant." Jim coped with physical consequences first, his body battered by the dogfight. His hands, blistered from gripping the stick, ached under bandages, and a shoulder strain from evasive maneuvers slowed his stride. Medics urged rest, but Jim's mind churned, unable to quiet. Emotional scars cut deeper. Nightmares replayed Hawk's faltering plane, Vance's betrayal, Bobby's flare in the hills. His brother's photo, warm in his flight suit, anchored him, but guilt surged. Had his defiance risked too much? "I flew for you," he whispered to his brother's memory, hallucinations fading but lingering. Buck's stern debrief, "You're a hero but a reckless one," threatened a court-martial, Jim's career hanging by a thread. Lena's support offered solace. "You saved lives, Jim." Yet the squadron's rift and Vance's treachery haunted, a reminder of prejudice's sting. Recovery events sustained interest, weaving hope with new challenges. The squadron regrouped in the hangar, faces weary but bonds reforming. Buck praised Jim's intel. "You gave us a win, Carter." Eddie, thawing slightly, nodded. "Didn't think you'd pull it off." Hawk's bravado returned, his Harlem grin wide. "We showed 'em, brother." The Red Tail's success sparked whispers among Allied command, their reputation bolstered, but scrutiny intensified. A new challenge arose, a follow-up mission to escort bombers over Florence, testing their depleted strength. Jim, despite fatigue, volunteered, his pilot's instincts unyielding, Bobby's rescue urging him forward. Will, recovering in the hospital, sent a message via Lena. "You're our sky." The words eased Jim's doubt, but Vance's betrayal lingered, a shadow on their triumph. Emotional coping deepened, Jim grappling with the mission's toll. In a quiet moment, under Ramitelli's stars, he confided in Hawk. "I see him, my brother, crashing. Did I do enough?" Hawk, lighting a cigarette, exhaled slowly. "You flew for all of us." The exchange softened Jim's guilt, but a letter from his mother, delivered by a supply plane, reopened wounds. "Stay safe, my boy." Jim penned a reply, his words halting. "I'm trying, Ma," for him. The act was cathartic, but hallucinations persisted, his brother's face in the clouds, accusing, "You risked too much." Lena's resilience, facing prejudice, yet tracing Vance's signals, inspired Jim. "You're stronger than they know," she said. The squadron's bond, forged in fire, held firm, a beacon in the storm. Long-term consequences unfolded over years, shaping Jim's path. Physically, the mission's toll lingered. His shoulder stiffened in cold, a reminder of the dive. The court-martial threat faded, but prejudice barred promotion, pushing Jim to civilian life by 1946. He became a flight instructor in Chicago, teaching young African Americans. His cockpit lessons weaving Montserrat's truth, courage over bias. Emotionally, nightmares faded but never vanished. Therapy through Leaders with Hawk, now a commercial pilot, and Lena, a radio technician. You changed us, Hawk wrote, easing Jim's doubt. Bobby, a post-war advocate, credited Jim's rescue for his survival. Eddie, softened by time, visited once his Detroit reserve, yielding to a toast. To the Red Tails. These bonds wove a tapestry of impact. Jim's mission breaking barriers and inspiring futures. Family anchored Jim's later years, grounding the aftermath in love. His marriage to Grace, a teacher met in Chicago, brought a daughter named Lena for his ally. Sharing edited tales of Tuscany, Jim taught courage. "Why'd you fly, Dad?" his daughter asked, prompting a profound reply. "Because honor's worth the fight." The answer encapsulated the moral. Courage in the face of prejudice preserves the soul. Grace, sensing his shadows, encouraged journaling. Montserrat was your sky, but your heart won. In the 1950s, Jim visited Ramatelli, now a quiet field, reuniting with Lena and Hawk. "You broke the line," Lena said, closing a circle. "The war took much, his brother, his innocence, but gave back a truth. Valor endures through defiance of injustice. The moral resonated, timeless and profound. In war's crucible, courage against prejudice preserves the soul." Jim's life, marked by quiet heroism, inspired students. His daughter and himself, honor, though costly, is the sky's redemption. The Tuscan clouds, once heavy, bloomed with hope, a testament to one pilot's stand. Inspired by true accounts from the Tuskegee Airmen service in the Italian campaign of 1944, where their courage against racism and enemy fire earned them acclaim, as documented in military records and pilots' memoirs.